It's red.
I was expecting your face to be a little bit more so, just a little more New Year cheer. You know, you know, you're the hangover guy. Come on, Dave.
That is true. You know what's so hilarious right now?
What's that?
This is what's funny. I totally forgot about this because speaking of red, turn that off. I have a red tint that turns on at 9 o'clock on my computer, so it was meant to be when it comes to this episode.
Oh, okay, that's an interesting choice, but
Well, you got to
you
turn
do
off the
you.
blue light, Scott. You got to turn off the blue light, before you go to bed. Got to get that out of your eyes. Yeah.
Ah,
Get up.
okay.
Look that up. I'm just
Oh no,
saying.
I know about the blue light. I didn't know
Yeah.
about you being able to turn on the red light. I know about blue light because I've gotten Liam glasses for him that he doesn't wear right now, but like for his
Good.
Switch and his iPad, it's like special Clark Kent glasses to like filter through the blue light.
It was just kind of trippy because as we started, the screen started going. I was like, as I was saying, it's red. So that was just tripping me out right there. Hey, we're back. Happy New Year, everybody. How's everybody?
2024, the DC Fan-imated stream.
And we're
Ta-da!
doing it a little later today, but schedules happen.
Yeah, schedules happen. They happen to us, unfortunately, sometimes.
Yes, it does happen. So everybody out there, we got a couple of people, King right there, saying Happy New Year. Well, saying it to Ryan. I don't know if Ryan's there, but and then of course we have Kenneth right there. Happy New Year. So yeah, Happy New Year, everybody. This is the first episode back, and man, we have a good one right here, I think.
You know what? I think I said this back when we were back last year.
I remember like it was a week ago.
A week ago, or 3 weeks ago, actually.
Yeah.
But I remembered the general plot of this episode, as in the guy turned the sky red. Like, but literally, that's as far as my memory of this episode went. So when I was watching it today, I was kind of surprised, going, "This is actually a really good episode."
Yeah.
Remember
No, like
this.
when because I didn't remember it at first just by the title when we talked about it, but when I before I watched it, of course, I set up the thumbnail and I went, oh, this episode, because
That
there's
one.
there was like little things that were popping out, and I was like, oh yeah, the invisible building, the bird on top of it, the bouncing ball. It was just
Wow, you remembered a
things.
lot more than I did.
Oh yeah,
Like,
there was things where I was like, oh
red
yeah,
sky. Red sky
that's all
was
you
all
remember.
I had.
Just red sky.
Well, actually, the shot that you picked for the thumbnail, like, that's my one memory. Superman standing on those cliffs outside the city with the sky red. You literally picked the one image that's burned in my brain about this episode. And everything else was like, I don't remember. Like, I had to be reminded that Lytener was even the bad guy in this episode. Hey, Dave, I think you muted yourself.
Sorry, I muted myself because I do have a little cough because I was sick last week. So, I just hit the button because I had a little, phlegm in my throat. So apologize. But it was there's even like a moment in here with Lex Luthor where I went, oh yeah, he hits a bullseye and he like gives like this little smile. And it was like just stuff like that. Things just like were just coming back to me as I was.
Wow, you had a much better memory of this episode than even I did. That's impressive.
But yes, we got Lytener coming back here, and he is voiced by, I can't remember his name, but he's from Airplane. What's his name?
Oh, because he was the pilot. I don't remember.
Yeah, I remember
Robert
Robert Hayes. Yes,
Yes.
Robert Hayes. Yes, he is back. I mean, obviously, the last time we saw him was what was it? Target.
Yeah.
Which of course he was going after Lois, and he was of course a big techie guy that worked at once for LexCorp, but of course was like the inside snitch kind of guy, but then blah blah blah, and then we remember that episode. Good episode as well. But so now
this was a better episode and a really good one. However,
hold on a sec before you start. Bounce back
okay.
in. Yeah. Oh, those StreamYard problems are still happening, guys. So, but yeah, Yeah, I've been like fighting some sickness last week, so I was like, so that's why I turned off my mic for a little bit to cough. Anyways, you're back.
For the first exit and reentry of
There
2020.
you go. That's what I was just saying. Yeah, new year, same problems.
Same problem. Why StreamYard?
I don't know
Why?
why it hates your camera so much.
I don't know. But this episode is the one that made me go, this is just their version of Dr. Light, and I don't know why he isn't just Arthur Light. Like, even his costume kind of sort of looks like Dr. Light's costume. And
Yeah.
and I'm trying to figure out why, because this is post crisis. Like, so this is coming out, so we're already post crisis. When during Crisis on Infinite Earths they did a female version of Dr. Light that was Japanese and was a hero instead of a villain.
Okay.
But it's before Identity Crisis when Brad Meltzer made him a rapist. So I'm trying, spoiler for Identity Crisis, a book that came out in 2004.
Right.
But I'm trying to figure out, why did they create a new character in Edward Lytener and this new villain Luminous instead of just making him Dr. Light? Like, I am legit. This isn't me being snarky. This is me being like legitimately curious. Like, you made a light-based villain out of scratch when you have a light-based villain like in canon. I was
It would
very
make
curious.
sense.
It would make sense,
It would make sense. I don't know. Maybe there was, I don't know,
Maybe
something.
they didn't get the permission.
Yeah, that's what I was just thinking right now. Is there some kind of permission that went with that character?
Well, we'll talk about, because we'll talk about this later on in the animated universe when Bruce Timm, Paul Dini, Alan Burnett, and the gang had to get creative because they were actually. There are times when DC said, "No, you cannot use that character.
Yeah, I
No,
think
you cannot use those characters."
yeah, it's so very interesting when it comes to all this sometimes when it's like you can't use certain things, you can't use this, can't use that, or I had something in my brain, it just shot right out. I'll remember it maybe later, but no, but yeah, you're right. I mean, why not just go for that? Why not just do that? But hey, why not? We have Luminous.
Yeah,
That's what
and he continues to return. That's the kind of the cool thing, is that
yeah, he
even
does.
after this episode, he shows back up. I mean, he pops up in Justice League,
Yes. Yeah.
so it's kind of fun to have that character. But the opening to this episode with him walking through the prison yard is it's a great intro because he had light-based equipment in
Uh-huh.
Target,
Yeah.
but this is the episode when he's like, "No, now you're a full-blown supervillain."
Yes. Like, yeah. Now, I mean, but then I'm kind of wondering, I'm like, how does he? I mean, I guess he's just been working on that in his cells. I mean, this you got to do this suspend disbelief kind of thing. It's like, yeah, I mean, I guess you could just find things. And I always like obviously the reveal. It's like you got to reveal, you got to lift up the shirt and show the device right there to be like, oh, okay.
You know what? If Shawshank Redemption, if he can dig himself out of his prison cell, I think a
Good
genius like
point.
Lightner can build a little box that, once again, I still love it every time they show like circuitry and technology, and I'm just
Yeah,
like, y'all still are making things that look like Kirby designs, and I
of
love
course.
it.
Of
But
course, you gotta have Kirby designs in there. But, yeah, so, yeah, it opens up on strikers, and we get to see the technology being used, to just basically make him disappear. He starts messing with one of the guards and then takes out one of the guards. They're doing some kind of exchange. Of course, they tend to the guard, and then, of course, Lightner just goes like, "Well, I'm out of here." So, a
yes,
much better
because they leave the helicopter running for
yeah, I
some
know.
reason.
Again, we know these guards aren't that smart when it comes to Star Labs or the asylum. I mean, they're just not smart. So, hey, it's like, the guy falls down, lets all the guards go tend to him and leave the helicopter just sitting there open and ready to be taken by, well, a new supervillain.
Right? Who apparently knows how to fly a helicopter?
Well, of course he does. Why wouldn't he?
It's like all
Yeah,
TV shows. If you're a scientist, it doesn't matter what it's no matter what you scienced. you can do anything. Like that's just
Exactly.
that's TV rules.
I'm sure because my dad's a helicopter pilot, I'm sure he'd be like, totally believable. You get in, you lift up a lever, and you do whatever the hell, and it just goes right up. He would totally be like, "Yep, that's all you got to do right there. It's not that hard, son." No, it's actually
No.
very, very difficult. He would probably lose his mind. Anyways, so yeah, he gets out there, he leaves and escapes, makes his escape, and then of course we get to the Daily Planet during a thunderstorm, and this is where we start to be like, okay, something interesting's going on here because we have Clark, who is obviously they're want to figure out where Lytener is, and he drops his pen, and he can't just be. It,
Go ahead. Go ahead, because I was going there, but
yeah,
you
no,
go ahead.
it's like, did it really? But again, I appreciate it because they have to show that Clark is starting to get a little weak. So yes, he does lift up his desk a little too much, a little too cartoony, I would say, and then grabs it. But then he goes, "Ow!" and he kind of goes like, So
It was really funny too because Declan was watching this episode with me,
uh-huh.
and because it's really funny, he likes to sit and like watch this stuff, and he was thinking, and I love his little 7-year-old brain. He was thinking it was the weather that was causing the problem, and I'm like, you know what? That's not a bad guess by a 7-year-old watching this for the first time.
Well, when
But
Jimmy walks up, I mean, he says like, "I bet it's the weather," So
he
technically,
does say that.
yeah.
Oh, that's right.
So,
Okay.
yeah, so you got there. You're gonna have to bounce out and bounce again. You're pixelating again. Yeah,
Ah.
of course, of course. But no, I mean, he does. It's a little cartoony, but I get it. They're setting up the fact that it's like, okay, yeah, once the clouds clear, something's going on. He's not getting his UV light. But no, but
Red sunlight. That's it's all the red light. It's causing Superman to get weaker. It's causing him to pixelate. Those damn red suns.
those damn red suns. And so we then where are we at here? And then of course, okay, then we of course Lois calls him, and Lois is supposed to be, she's supposed to be she's supposed to be on the down low, like supposed to be taking it easy, not out in public, but it's Lois Lane.
Yeah, she's in public transit though, because
Yeah,
that works. Yeah, yeah. Be in a trolley car that's suspended in the middle of the air while a villain is on the loose. Who the last time we saw him was specifically targeting you. I mean, of course.
yeah. Take a taxi, maybe. I don't know, something a little more where you're not off the ground, where somebody could just, strap a bomb to that, and then you just it's Lois Lane. What could
It's
you do?
Lois.
Yeah, it's
I
Lois.
do appreciate though the continuity of we're making a big deal about Lois being in possible danger
Yeah,
because that was Leitner's whole thing in Target, was that he was targeting Lois Lane. So once again, I like the callback. I like the thing of, yeah, this was a lot. When we introduced the character, he was stalking and obsessed with Lois. So of course, in
yeah,
this episode, we're going to start by thinking that's going to be Leitner's, modus operandi in this episode. So once again, I like the writing, remembering the history of the show.
yeah. No, it's good. It's good. And then of course something happens. The tram comes to like stop. Her phone breaks. Wow, that phone just broke. It's not a Nokia, that's for sure. If it was a Nokia, that thing would have went through the tram because those things were bricks back then. But remember the old Nokias?
Oh yeah, I,
Oh
I think
yeah.
I, I think I had a Nokia, to be
Oh
honest
yeah.
with you.
I had a Nokia. That thing, the battery lasted for like 2 years. Like barely had to charge it, man. Barely had to charge it. But yeah. So then naturally Clark's gonna, go off and save the day, obviously. And then of course we get Lightner, and this is where we get introduced to him in his full, I guess, his full transition into supervillain.
Well,
Luminous.
because he has a supervillain name
Yeah.
now. Because he never called himself. This is the first time when
Yeah.
he reveals himself and he's in the suit. He calls himself Luminous. So this is the christening of his supervillainy. He has a name. He has a suit. You
Yes.
know, and he's flying around in the sky somehow. Because is he really there? Like
Yeah.
they play with that really well. Like, is this a hologram? Is this really him? It's there's a I'm just going to assume with all the flying around. But but no, he later on he's flying around when he's just in the suit. Like, I don't understand how light powers make you able to fly. I just
Yeah.
have to go with it, I guess. But not
You
gonna
just
lie, it took me out of the episode for a second.
a little bit because in this, like, when Superman and him are fighting in this first part, does he grab him? Does Superman grab him or does he
I
not?
think he tries.
He tr I can't
Does
now I'm, like,
he?
blanking on it right
I'm
now.
blanking on that
Watched it.
because he also tends to like fade and
Yes.
disappear, and it's like, is
Yeah.
he fading and disappearing because he's bending the light and turning himself invisible, or because he's a hologram the entire
Yeah.
time? Because when Lois is getting attacked, he's just this creepy disembodied voice shooting a laser from
Yeah.
nowhere
That's true.
and cutting the tram.
Hmm.
uh
And then, of
but
course, we get Superman trying to, like, grab onto the tram, but he's weakened. Uh-oh.
Like, he not only is he
Ugh!
struggling
Yeah.
more than normal, because once again, this is a Superman who still struggles
Yeah.
even when he's being super. But I love the fact they added like the beads of sweat to be like, oh no, this is really tough on him right now.
Yeah, so then now Lois has to, like, get out of the tram and kinda just like, "Hey, come to me so then I can grab you, and then we'll just let the tram fall down." But, yeah, I mean, and then he's noticeably just winded and out of it, obviously, when they land, and then, he does the whole, like, hold on to the wall thing and grab the head, that whole struggle thing.
Oh, right, because that's the universal TV sign for I'm weakened.
Yeah, exactly. You gotta grab, yeah, he's got a headache, he's winded. But and then this is where we get the phone call from Lois to Lex. And again, I was like, "Oh yeah." I was like, "Damn, man, I'm remembering like all this stuff." It was just, and I was like, "Yeah, Lex, like, because because when they're talking, obviously she's grilling Lex to just be like, "Hey, he worked for you. You got to know where he is." And I mean, this is after I jumped ahead too much right here because
Because
this is,
because you get the news broadcast that
yeah,
explains
yes.
how the red sky is
Well,
working,
well,
because
even before that, we get the thumbnail right here
yes,
because we have Superman that's like trying to test out his powers. Like, he just obviously he's outside the city, and then he's just he tries to push a rock. He tries to use his
it
laser
was a
eyes.
big rock.
It was a big rock.
It was a big rock.
Um, Good old Croc. So he tries all that, and of course everything's weakened, and then of course this is where we see the clouds part, and then we get this beautiful shot right here of just, and that's where he goes, "It's red." I
Red.
mean, it's so dramatic, and then cut to commercial, right? But yeah, that's where we get the broadcast. Obviously we just get this exposition dump of like, "Oh yeah, that's what happened, guys." The
But you know
skies,
what? But it
yeah,
is an exposition dump,
but it's
but
done well.
it's done really well because it's done as in, we're doing the news and we call in the expert who's going to explain everything to the television audience.
Exactly.
I I appreciate that more
Yeah.
than just, the exposition double. Here I am, the character telling another character who probably already knows what I'm saying,
Yeah.
everything like they don't know what I'm saying. Using the news, like, that's something they would
Yeah.
do.
And they would have all the graphics and everything kind of showing, and they do. You see the world, and then of course it's like, oh yeah, you got the normal sunlight. The sun is still yellow. I love how they said that. Sun's still yellow, but we got all these satellites that are just filtering out all those, the yellow rays, and then of course it's just nothing but red that's coming through. So, which is, man, that's pretty diabolical. I wonder what Batman thinks about all this. He doesn't care. The sky's red in Gotham all the time. Have you seen the opening of
I
Batman?
mean, I mean, have
Yeah.
have you watched an episode of Batman the Animated Series? It's always red in Gotham.
It's just a normal day in Gotham. They're not even noticing it's so polluted. Anyways, yeah, there's not even noticing it. But anyways, so we get that. We get what's happening, and of course, I mean, like, that's, Jesus Christ, that's pretty. So then we get Lois calling Lex and basically going like, "You have to know something," but he's just like, "Why would I even do this? I wouldn't risk the world because I want to kill Superman." And I
But
love
wouldn't you?
that.
But wouldn't you? But wouldn't you,
Yeah,
Lex? And
You
he
know,
gets that little smirk at the end. It's
that's what
like,
I'm saying. Yeah.
I love it because there's a part of you that goes, is he telling the truth or is he lying? And I don't think you know for certain,
You
even
don't.
after this scene is over. But it is kind of cool that he's like shooting arrows at a target while he's on the phone. And Mercy just has the quiver like on
Yeah.
her hip, like handing him the arrows.
It's funny. But yeah, as soon as he, starts talking about Superman and wanting to kill, he hits that bullseye, and like you said, he gets that little smirk. And I was like, yeah, I remember that part. I was like, oh yeah, he gets like a little smirk, right? Because yep, and there it was, and I was like, okay, I remember that. But yeah, that just kind of shows you. It's like, yeah, Lex, I think you kind of you. I think you would. You put the world in jeopardy just a little bit. Maybe you wouldn't like go too far with it, but yeah, I think you kind of would there, and
I
I
He
mean,
kind of did with Brainiac back
true.
in Stolen Memories in season 1. It's
Yeah,
like you kind of risk the world so that you could have all that technology that Brainiac was promising you.
yeah.
So don't put it past you, Luthor.
Yeah, and then your focus just happened to just be perfect, right when you shot that last arrow, huh?
Yeah. Uh-huh.
Interesting, interesting. So, yeah, and so he shoots the bullseye, and then of course we have Lois and Clark trying to get Jimmy to look up things, and then we get, hey, up in the sky, we get a Superman signal.
I yeah, I was waiting. I'm gonna be honest, I didn't remember that. And then I was waiting to see if there was going to be any kind of like passing Batman Gotham
Yeah,
kind of reference. And I think I'm proud of the show for not going to a very obvious place,
yeah,
but having Lytener, like it's literally like a clicky pin.
yeah.
It's like one of those light clicky pins, but like it's bright enough that's projecting a Superman signal into the sky.
That's pretty funny. Yeah. So then, of course, Superman shows up, and
Which,
this
by
is
the
what.
way, I want to compliment a subtle detail because once again, this episode we're
Mhm,
talking about A-team animation. Like this
yeah,
is the good studio. This is the good
exactly.
crew working on this episode. I want to appreciate a subtle detail that when Superman comes flying in and he lands, it's like he stutter steps and he stumbles a little
Yeah,
bit. Like it's not he doesn't just glide and land. He like fumbles the landing. And
no,
but it's a subtle thing. And I like it because he's not completely depow. Never in this episode does he completely, utterly lose all his powers,
no.
but it's just a steady decline of his powers throughout the episode. And I like the little moments like that where I go, "Oh, I saw what you did there. That's good. I like it."
Yeah, because he's not getting refueled by the sun. So he's charged like at the beginning of the episode, he's probably charged up. Now it's just depleting and he's not able to, recharge. But yeah, so when he shows up to Lightner, this is where Lightner starts showing that he's like, a hologram because Superman tries to grab him. This is what I was thinking of like the first time. I was like, no, wait, the first time they came across, he was just mainly a voice and just whatever. This time, this is where we actually like are seeing him. He tries to grab him, realize it's holograms, and then it kind of does like he does like a Mr. Smith in the Matrix Reloaded
Yeah,
kind
he
of thing
does. Yeah, he
where
does.
he's just
Yeah.
popping up, and then he's like, which one's, and I like it how it's like not one of them's just saying one sentence; it's like multiple thing. I like that. Kind of I wouldn't be surprised if maybe there was some inspiration from the Wachowski because you do get the shot from him behind. You see like them like all appear. It's kind of cool. I was like, wow, that reminds me of Matrix Reloaded during that awesome scene in the park.
That scene is amazing.
Freaking amazing, my god. So then of course, he's got lasers because, well, I mean, the holograms, yeah, sure, might not be, he can't grab onto them, but hey, lasers are made of light, and I guess, you could just shoot them. Again, we were talking about, it's like, okay, I guess the lasers can affect them, but
Well, lasers can affect him because
yeah,
once again,
yeah,
that's a scientific principle that I'm glad Leitner brings up is that yeah, all lasers
yeah,
are concentrated light.
yes.
Like that's literally what they are. So that's kind of cool how well if you're a light-based villain, then yeah, use lasers.
use lasers, especially against a drained Superman. And I think he even said in this scene, he's like, "Are you like at half strength now?" So he might be like, I don't know if it was right here, but I know there was like a mention of half strength. And I think, Superman probably is. But, Superman and his use of like, water pipes, you know, s- because you got, I see, this is where Lightner fucks up right here because, you're shooting at Superman. You got to watch out for those water pipes because, that's not going to be good for you, man. And sure enough, and I remember this scene too. I was like, oh yeah, this part where he like aims the water at him to find who the real one is. Because obviously there's like 6 of them heading towards Superman. And then it's like, well, shoot the water. And then of course the real one gets hit by the water, which was again, Superman always using that noggin of his.
And once again, that's why these kind of stories with Superman, I think, are beneficial to the character,
Oh yeah.
because these kind of moments show you he's not just a big lug with powers. Like,
Yes.
there is he can think himself out of situations. Now, the character's not always written that way, but that's something that I've always loved about the animated universe's interpretation of Superman, is that he can, clock things and go, "Oh, wait a minute." Like, he's a smart guy and he can get himself the powers don't always have to be his solution to every problem. So I like that. And
Yeah.
it's a great what's the word I'm looking for? But it's a great use of the character, in
Yeah.
my opinion.
No, it totally is. And then of course, do you bleed? Oh yeah, Superman's bleeding.
I
That's
know,
right.
what's it gonna do? Now, it's just amazing to think back to standards and practices back in like 1992 when Batman
Right?
the Animated Series. We we didn't get to see blood, like maybe once. Or like, I think we got away with it in On Leather Wings,
Yeah.
and then we didn't get to see it again until like Mask of the Phantasm, and that was a movie. But then it's like, oh no, here it is. Regular episode. There's some blood on Superman's face, and it's like,
Yep.
oh, okay.
You got red on you. Yeah. So then, and then I like the next scene where it's like you got Clark in the bathroom, like tending to his cuts, and he's like, "Ow!" It's like, "Ah, yeah. How does that feel, buddy? It's not fun, huh?"
Hydrogen peroxide sucks, man.
Oh yeah, yeah. He's got to clean those wounds, man. And it's like, man, that's a feeling you don't like that to have right there. And sure enough, and then of course we get Lois and Jimmy now that they've found like, oh, there's a possible place that Lightner might be, is at this old LexCorp building. And when they show up, it's just an empty field. Or is it?
Or is it?
Yeah.
I still love the look up in the sky. A bird?
Yeah, he's all, it's a bird.
A
It's like,
bird.
yeah, it was just like, yeah. And I remember that part too. I was like, oh yeah, the bird that's just like perched up right there. It's kind of funny though. It's like, how did that bird figure that out? Smart bird, I guess. Did it run into it first and then went, all right, well, I'm just gonna chill here. Anyways, I'm looking into it. I'm looking too much into the bird. But it is a funny little
But bird
exchange.
is the word.
Bird, the bird. Don't
The
get me
word.
started on that. Mhm. But then of course it's funny too because then Lois figures it out like after they see that she finds like the wall and of course Jimmy just runs right into it, and then she finds the doorknob and then the door opens and then like
I
she's
love
like
the line. I love
yeah.
her line. It's like, he just left it unlocked. If you had an invisible door, would you lock it?
It's like yes you should. I mean come on, I mean
Well,
no
yes,
matter
you
what.
should,
Yeah,
but I
I
mean,
know
seriously,
it wouldn't move the plot along. I totally get it, but at the same time I'm like it's still, I mean, again, come on, supervillains. You gotta think that sometimes these good guys are gonna outsmart you. It's Lois Lane, for God's sakes. But of course, they get inside, and as they get in there, and of course, we see Lightner show up again, and then welcomes them, and then of course the laser, prison bar thingies, whatever the hell, show up, and well, now Jimmy and Lois, of course, are captured.
Yeah, because that's what Jimmy and Lois do. They get caught.
They get caught, but then it was kind of cool that when it comes to the solution to all this, that Superman goes to Professor Hamilton to take the ship to space to start knocking out some of these satellites. And I was like, cool. Yeah, that was a smart idea to do. Of course, you know, this is not going to happen. But I just like the fact that while Superman and Hamilton were coming up with a really good idea, and then of course Lytener shows up and to let it be known, to show that, hey, I got your buddies right here, and so naturally Superman's going to just go save them. But I just like the fact that him and Professor Hamilton had a pretty good idea.
I know, because once again, this is a Superman who, one, in his weakened state, probably couldn't make it to the edge of the atmosphere
No.
anyway. And then two, remembering that in this continuity, Superman can't fly in the vacuum of space. Now, this isn't Christopher Reeve, this isn't Henry Cavill. He actually has to wear a spacesuit and be in a ship to,
Yep.
exit the Earth's atmosphere. So I like the idea of, yeah, well, I have a rocket ship just parked right over there. Why don't I just go use that? And then I also like the fact that Professor Hamilton tries to warn Superman about it being a trap, and Superman's like, "Oh, I know it's a trap." Like,
It's like
no shit.
it's like it's my friends. What do you think I'm gonna, And then of course he's saying, like, you're almost, powerless at this point. So we're at the point where Superman's probably running at like
A quarter.
yeah, I was gonna even go like 19%, maybe, just to be,
Okay.
when your phone starts letting you know.
20%. 20% is when my phone starts letting me know. Yeah,
It's
thank
that's
you.
what mine does. That's why I said 19, because that's
Yeah.
when you start worrying. So I was like, yeah, he's at like 19. He's at like 19% right now. He needs a charge for sure. But of course, follow the bouncing ball, the ball of light. So of course he follows to where the building is. And
I thought it
then
was interesting that the ball revealed the building in its entirety. I was like,
yeah, that was a cool reveal. I
that was a
liked it.
cool reveal. It was animated beautifully.
Yeah.
But do you really want to now decide, hey, let me show the entire world where they can find me?
Of course, because you have to have the cool shot with the music and everything. It's super villain 101, Scott. Super villain
Yeah,
101.
make a big entrance. I got it.
Gotta
I
make
got
that,
it.
yeah, especially when it comes to the hero showing up. You gotta just do it. We're in the final battle right here. And I
I
like
do
it.
love the fact that when it gets revealed, though, it's like, yes, this is a LexCorp building.
Yes, yeah, 100%. And then when he walks in, he walks into a saloon.
Yeah, I got like Westworld vibes. I was
A
just
little
like,
bit.
oh, what? I will totally admit that I sat there and went, what the fuck?
Yeah.
Why, Lightner? Or and this is the funny thing. The episode never bothers to tell you. Like, it never tries to explain the choice. It's just that was a choice he made.
I think it's
Okay.
just the child inside him. He likes cowboys and stuff like that. I don't know, because then we get to a
And
pirate
pirates.
ship.
Yeah, I
Yeah,
mean,
yeah, cowboys and maybe it's just we could look at it as it's him as a child, I guess you could say, because yeah, it doesn't even make sense. I think it's like kind of cool to see Superman in a saloon, you know, and just kind of like and then get taken. And then of course we have Lightner, who's like a bigger kind of guy, and he's like another hologram, huh? And then all of a sudden he gets that shot right to his like his shoulder, or like his trap right here.
yes.
That always looked painful. Like anytime like you get, yeah, I think Batman's gotten those freaking hits too by big guys where you just that right there, just good, and you just
Oh,
go,
come on.
oh
Like, you haven't, I mean, we're 40 something. You know what it's like to feel like, I know
yeah.
it's like just to pull that, like, no one has to hit it. Like, it just,
Oh, if you just sleep wrong.
yes.
My God.
God.
You wake up and you're like, good God, it's just
God,
like
what
right there.
happened?
It's like right there, just right where your neck and your trap is. Right there. Ugh. Sucks. But
Oh,
yeah, he gets hit. He gets knocked right in there. And then, of course, we get a little saloon fight. And then, of course, he gets knocked out of it onto some, train tracks. And that's the
which
whole.
totally gave, I'm going to be honest. I totally was thinking about It's Never Too Late when I was like,
Yeah.
where's,
Oh,
where's,
yeah.
where's
Yeah.
little Stromwell,
I know, right?
and his
I
brother?
really forgot about that. Yeah. A little flashbacks to that episode of Batman the Animated Series right there. And then of course, like I said, we get to the pirate ship, and then we get Lightner as a pirate, with a peg leg and
With a
everything.
lightsaber. Like,
Yes,
yes. And I laughed because not only was it a laser sword, it was actually a saber.
it
Like,
was.
that's the funny thing to me is, like, in Star Wars they have lightsabers. I'm like, but that's not a saber. Like,
Yeah,
that's not a
doesn't
saber.
actually.
It's
Yeah,
actually a saber, you
yeah,
know?
it's not actually a saber right there. But, you know, of course, he wants him to, like, you know, walk the plank as they do on pirate ships. And then, of course, when he's backing up into it, you get like that Truman Show vibe where he like hits like
Oh, he
the
hits the wall. Like,
yeah,
there's
he hits the wall like the Truman Show. And then, you know, obviously, I forgot exactly. How did he get the saber from
because,
Lytener?
Lytener goes to stab him,
Oh, that's
he
right.
stabs through the wall, and then Superman knocks him back and then uses the
That's right.
saber and cuts the hole in the wall.
Yeah, that's where we're gonna come in right now. And I do love it because like when Superman cuts the hole into the wall, like he does like such a perfect circle.
Oh my god, I could never cut a I mean, no one could cut that perfectly. I mean,
I mean, that's Superman for you right there, man. Come on.
but what I appreciate about the wall is the idea that if all this is a hologram, well, something has to be generating
Yeah,
the hologram.
exactly. And there it
Oh,
is.
the big giant thing that controls the satellites.
It just looks evil, doesn't it?
Oh, it does look completely evil. And
All the
also kind of in retrospect reminds me of something we'll see later on, like when we see Batman Beyond Return of the Joker.
There they are right there.
Of course, they got to be gagged and
Yes,
tied and hanging in the middle of the air.
of course. Ouch.
Just as well that you found your way through. I'll enjoy finishing this myself.
Oh,
That laser just looks beautiful.
it does. It does. Don't fight it, Superman. Oh, wait.
How does it feel to be mortal, Superman? To know pain? Well, don't worry. You won't have to endure it for long.
Okay, stop monologuing. Oh!
Stop monologuing. No, he's a supervillain. It's his time.
Yeah, you forgot that light reflects, dude. Light reflects.
All right.
Animated series explosions!
Hell yeah. You gotta love the sound effects, right?
Oh, and the big, beautiful plume of smoke and fire.
And then, dun dun dun, there we go.
Oh.
Bring in those rays. Oh, that feels good right there. It's like, oh shit. And then we
But
get
I
kind
also
of
like
like
the.
we get like kind of like a BBS moment.
Yeah,
Right
thank
here.
you. I wrote that
Yeah.
in my notes because it's right when it's just like when the kryptonite gas starts wearing off.
Exactly.
But I also love the fact that Superman doesn't go immediately to full strength. It's like
Yeah.
a slow recharge. But he's totally breaking that dude's hand.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah, you hear it. And then just get out of here. He doesn't even hit him that hard, which is it's not like he like, you know. And then of course that's very Looney Tunes right there.
Yes,
That's
exactly.
very Daffy Duck. Dun, dun, dun. Yay. And then of course they take him away. Take him away.
But Turpin and Sawyer take
Yeah,
him
they're
away.
back. Yeah.
Yeah.
Little cameo from them. So that's always nice to see them, of course. And then of course we get a like, you know, a cool little shot of like Superman flying off.
Oh, that shot is
into the-
amazing because Christopher Carter incorporates the Superman theme for this show in
Mhm.
this beautiful shot. And I even noticed, once again, the nice little detail because at one point, Lytener is shooting the laser, or was when he was no, it's when he slashed him with the lightsaber and he cut off like a corner of his cape.
Oh
And
yeah.
when Superman flies off into the sun with the glorious, Shirley Walker theme playing, the cape still has like the corner, like
They kept it off, yeah.
they still have it chopped off and it just goes flying off. And I thought, and I love the fact that with an episode called Solar Power, that it ends with a shot of the sun. I thought,
Oh,
oh,
yeah.
this is cool.
It's a good episode, man. It
Good
really is.
episode.
It's a good episode. It's a great episode. So yeah, really enjoyed it. And like I said, yeah, it was just one of those. I'm like, man, I saw this episode multiple times because just little things, the Lex smirk, the bird, just things like that, the bouncing ball, just a lot of things were like really stood out. I was like, oh yeah, yeah.
God, and this episode just was not in the rotation for me. So
Yeah.
like It was almost like watching it for the first time, today, because I was just like, I remember the red sky. That's as far as my memory of this
Right.
episode goes.
What do we have next week?
Well, Dave, before the nightmare, before there was injustice among us, we were living in a brave new metropolis.
Brave New Metropolis. Is that what it's called?
Yeah, so it's called Brave New Metropolis. Yes.
And you're saying it like that, and I'm like still blanking on it because I always do.
I know you do. And
Yeah.
I really tried to really build it up for you. And I'm just like,
And the way you're saying it, I already know, like, once I fire it up, I'm gonna be like, "Oh, shit. Damn it." Yeah, because I'm like, Brave New I mean, like, it sounds like an absolutely a title of one of these episodes, but I'm just like, my brain's going, "Huh?" It's going, "Huh," right now, so well, there you go, guys. Watch that one, and, we're gonna watch it too, and then we're gonna talk about it next week. Most likely, we'll probably be doing it at the same time.
but we'll keep you updated.
Yeah.
Full disclosure, I am having some work related scheduling changes that has left me going, I don't know
Yeah.
what's going on. So
Yeah.
me being able to tell Dave this is when the show needs to be is a little hard right now.
Yeah. Yeah. So we're kind of playing things by ear, and if things have to be changed, like if we have to change to like a different day, different time kind of thing, we'll let you guys know. We're just kind of it's like I said, it's new year, and new schedules happen, and just that's what happens, real life, sadly. But it's what it is. We roll with the punches. So but all right, guys. Well, we appreciate it. We had fun, of course, talking about solar power with Mr. Luminous. Lytener.
Luminous.
Luminous coming back, and just a great episode. And next week, of course, yeah, you can say what was it called again?
Brave New Metropolis.
Brave New Metropolis. Anyways, all right. I know it's gonna. Anyways, all right. Go ahead and send us off, Scott.
Well, of course, you can find me on Twitter at ScottDC27. You can find my podcast at DC Squadcast, wherever podcasts can be found, which does include about 3 hours ago us finally dropping our review of Aquaman and the Lost Kingdom. So you can find that on Vero, Facebook, YouTube, and the entire network of shows at squadcastmedia.com.
There you go. All right, guys. I'll see you tomorrow. Film Junkie Live, 6 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. It is back. I haven't done a Film Junkie Live in a couple of weeks, so that'll be fun. And we appreciate it. Hit that like, thumbs up, subscribe to the channel, follow us on all the social medias and everything like that. All right, guys. We love you. We'll talk to you later.